Are you a brewhead? I'm a brewhead. Are you a brewhead? I'm a brewhead. Y'all are brewheads? Yeah, we brewheads. So pour a glass of craft beer, we can do this. Yeah.
What's good, y'all? This is Cee, certified brewhead.
I am Tiffany.
And welcome to...
I don't have a middle...
You need a
middle thing. I'm going to have to add something.
Right?
Yeah.
And welcome to episode 1, season 10 of BAOS. This is our link-up season. It's been almost 2 months by the time you guys see this. We took a little bit of a summer break.
Yeah.
I mean, we're still working on things, don't you worry about that, but it's been nice. Hopefully you guys caught up on the 8 trillion live podcast that we did.
Before our 8 trillion videos, 4 to 5 hour long podcast.
We really, took the quarantine to heart. We took it pretty serious. So this is something brand new for us. This is the first new themed season we've done essentially since the Against the Grain early 2020 there.
Yeah.
So this is something that's super special to us. This is a project we've been working on for basically a year.
Yeah.
And it's finally seen the light of day. So we're very excited to do an ongoing season. So Tiff, you want to tell everyone real quick, give them some context. What is Link Up?
Oh yeah, did you introduce and say
I did not
was Link Up?
I said it was called Link Up,
okay, perfect.
but I didn't tell them.
So yeah, the episode is called Link Up, and Link Up is actually our program. So it's a nonprofit that we have created, and the goal behind the nonprofit is to connect talented and wonderfully passionate individuals in underrepresented communities to craft beer, so to opportunities in craft beer. So we only launched about a week ago. From
the date of recording.
Yeah.
And to launch, we thought, well, you know what better way, being that the Link Up program is actually a collaborative effort between Tiff and I at BOS, also our company High Season for social media, and the great folks over at Cicerone in Aylmer, Quebec, just near Gatineau there. So the idea is that we thought, well, since we're already partnering with a brewery, we know all the breweries who are into this stuff, let's launch with a series of beers. So instead of doing them all in 1 week, which we could have, we thought, let's spread it out and give each beer their shine. So our first guest this week, we're going to get into their beer as well. And every week for 6 weeks, we're going to be talking to every brewery who is participating in the program and just, get their background on why they wanted to be involved, the beer that they chose and how that worked, and a whole bunch of other stuff surrounding the program and diversity, inclusion, etc. Was there anything else you want to talk about for
I think
Link
something
Up?
important to address
Yes.
is we did select these breweries, but maybe you should also let people know what else it means for these breweries. So these breweries are not just giving us beer or launching with a beer with us.
That is correct. So part of the agreement is participating in making a Link Up beer is that they will actually, they've agreed to hire an apprentice in their brewery, somebody essentially, like Tiffany mentioned, in underrepresented community, because obviously the whole aim of this is to diversify craft beer so that it can not only survive but thrive in the future. It's extremely a beautiful thing because we have these partner breweries in Ontario and in Quebec. Just to start, we're going to expand that out a lot. And, it gives opportunities for people living in different places to be able to go somewhere close to their home and work in whatever part of craft beer they're interested in, and we're going to help them find that if they don't already know. That can include the brewing and production itself. That can include Cicerone, who is actually one of our partners. Cicerone are working with, they've been incredibly cool. They've given us scholarships already. We were willing to pay with our funds that we're raising with Link Up. But they've given us some scholarships to get people started, and we could get started today if we get the right applicant, which is very exciting. So they can work front of house. We're working on agriculture partners in case people want to work in hop farms or yeast or any of those other things. Marketing, craft beer media, probably even the creative, like design and photography surrounding beer.
Yeah. Basically
any aspect of the craft beer industry, we want to make sure that we can help people, once again, in the communities that aren't represented in beer, get their foot in the door, because a lot of people wouldn't even know, one, these things exist, and two, if they do, they wouldn't know where to start a lot of the time. It can be very confusing. So that's what Link Up is here to do.
Yes. And one thing I want to mention, because we did not talk about it, and initially when Jacob did come to us and say, and I'm just brief history. Jacob from Cicerone, who's our partner here, he came to us with additional funds from Black is Beautiful and said that he wanted to do something that had longevity, so not just doing this one thing and this one-off donation, and said, what can we do? And then he said, what is important to you? For me specifically, what's important is one, diversifying the tap room, diversifying the workforce at all levels, but ownership is also very key. So that is something that we are also doing our best to assist with, because we have these amazing partners who are filled with knowledge. And then we also are raising funds. That is something that we are looking to support as well. So if you're out there and you're looking to be an owner, or you're looking to be in any level of craft beer, be sure to apply. A link will be in the description box below.
linkupbeer.org and at linkupbeer everywhere. We'll say that at the end as well. So with that said, if we've got that covered, obviously we're going to talk more about it throughout these episodes. I want to bring on these guests.
I'm so excited to have them.
Yes.
So excited. Can I just talk about first?
Yes, please.
Okay. So this guest just already madly in love. But in the before times when things were normal and you could see people in person, even though that's kind of coming back now, but in the before times when you really could be in a nice crowd and see people, we were at their brewery for a night with Ren Navarro, which was a beautiful night. Ren Navarro is a consultant, speaker in the D&I space, so she consults with breweries, helping them, diversify their workforce as well. So we're all trying to do the same thing or have the same objectives, but she really goes out there and will establish programs and really work with breweries to diversify their workforce at all levels. And then the owner of this brewery came after the event, came up to us after the event and really genuinely and earnestly really asked, how do I make it so that my beer and my brewery is welcoming to everybody? And never really had that question posed to me before. And I thought it was so interesting and just so genuine and beautiful to actually reach out to somebody of color and ask them, how do I make sure, you're here, but how do I make sure more people want to be here? What do I do to open it up? So they've just always across the board, the reason that they're the number one that we're starting off with, this is true to them. This is true to what they do. They live and breathe inclusion. So yes, very excited to have them.
Well said.
So,
what a perfect intro. So we're going to bring in Stephane and Josh at Dominion City Brewing. Gentlemen, that deserves a round of applause.
Do you guys hear the claps on your side too?
Yeah, they can
hear. Oh, yeah, we do.
Yay.
You can hear them. They know. Welcome, guys. So great to have you on. Appreciate you.
It's awesome to be here. Thank you so much for having us. This is a blast.
Genuine pleasure.
Oh, you have the link of color on, Josh. I just realized.
I do.
Let me see if that's intentional. Technically black and yellow, we're representing. So
I love
there
it.
you go. Yeah.
That's what we're here for. So with that said, we're going to kick it off like we always do on the podcast. We're going to be crushing the beer. This evening, this is Dominion City, the first beer off the canning line for any of the Link Up series. Just cold Link Up. It is a 5% pale ale with all Eclipse hops. Josh, this is our first time both of us.
Yeah, we haven't had it yet.
Yes,
we waited specifically.
We waited because I wanted to
Awesome.
look you guys in the eyes and drink it.
I have had it, and I like it a lot, so I hope you like it too.
I'm excited. There's no chance we won't. I'd love to hear from you guys, first of all, about the beer itself. Why you chose a pale ale, why these hops, and just the
and then
decision.
should we introduce the two people? Because not everyone gets to see them.
That's a great point. Please,
who are the two individuals that you're speaking to and opening beer from?
Please, tell us.
Okay, so I'll tell you. So we have Josh, who is the owner at Dominion City Brewing, and we have Stephane, who is the CFO at Dominion City Brewing, sitting with us today.
I forgot to even mention that.
It's because we were talking beforehand.
Yes, right. We got too into the game.
Okay, cool.
Let's see how this goes. It smells gorgeous. Yeah, guys, tell us why this particular style and these hops and the thinking behind it.
Yeah, it was a cool little process. I mean, there was some back and forth between a number of the breweries who were involved in coming up with this project. And I just want to say off the top, too, guys, that I think this is an awesome initiative. And as kind and complimentary as you've been of us, we think very highly of what you do. To be honest with you, one of the first times I really had my eyes opened about thinking properly about diversity in beer was watching an episode of your podcast when you guys were in California, talking to a black couple who were starting a brewery, and just hearing about why they were doing it and what was motivating them. And I thought it was very impactful. And you guys did a great job of sharing that story. It got us thinking and talking. So thank you. But yeah, in terms of the beer itself, it's been a fun process. You've got a number of different breweries going back and forth, talking about what they're doing. I think everybody sort of agreed they wanted to brew something hoppy. So I think, without giving anything away, I think you should expect to see more of that. We went pale ale. we brew a lot of IPA, and I think we all really enjoy something sessionable. So for us, doing something like this, that's you can have a few if you want, made sense. And yeah, working with a new hop, Eclipse is new to us, and it's mandarin, citrus peel, pine needle. It's a lot of fun. I think it's probably not the last time we'll find this into a beer.
I love it.
Cheers. I already
Guys,
sipped. I'm
cheers.
so terrible. Sorry.
That's okay.
Cheers.
And Stephane sipped too. I'm like, hey.
Yeah, this is definitely my type of beer.
So
it's
good.
juicy, it's citrusy, a lot of flavor and fruitiness. So
No,
Oh, yeah.
nailed it.
Amazing.
You're right. Super fruity. I like the little, just a touch of pine in the back end. Gives it a bit, so it's not just this juice bomb that a lot of the beers can be. Like you
Yeah,
said.
there's a firm bitterness to it that I like as well.
Yeah.
It's just there to keep you on the straight and narrow. It's good.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
You know
I
what's
love
funny?
it.
I'm
so
drinking
happy.
out of the glass of the people from that podcast, actually, that you were just
Crowns and
talking about.
Hops.
Crowns and Hops.
Yes.
They actually just got their land 2 weeks ago or
Oh, wow.
3 weeks ago, so they're good to start building.
Been a
now.
journey for them.
Yeah.
So
Good for them.
this is exceptional, guys. I can't wait. We're going to put this up on the shelf. With the, obviously when we approached you, I believe Jacob reached out. When you guys heard from Jacob and he told you about the initiative, and to be fair, when he did reach out to the breweries, it was a little we still hadn't had all of we knew the concept and we're putting it together. Obviously, these things take a lot of time. It was still a little early even in the game, and now things are all really taking shape, which is fantastic. So you guys bought in, I guess is what I'm trying to say. You bought in from the literal beginning. What appealed to you guys to get involved in the project?
I'm not blowing smoke. But... go ahead, Stephane. Go ahead.
Oh yeah, just to say I got the email and just brought to my attention about this initiative, and like you said, it was early on and not a lot of detail, but just that idea of being inclusive in this industry got my attention. And so obviously everyone kind of bought into that, and we've dealt with everybody in the past, have relationships with everybody as well, so we felt pretty confident that this initiative would work out and be able to make a difference.
I love it. Josh,
It's hard to say no to you guys.
I don't like to ask you for things.
Well,
No, you don't. No, that's exactly it, right? It's we like the people involved, and frankly, this is cool. I mean, we've tried to spearhead a couple things over the years. You mentioned Ren. I mean, we kicked off a scholarship a couple of years ago with Niagara College and Ren, and I've had now 3 people come through the brewery through that scholarship. So these are people who are studying to work in beer, and the scholarship exists to get someone who's underrepresented a job, and basically paid experience for 2 months at our place, and then to go on and hopefully build a career and that experience to be a stepping stone. So when Jacob had reached out, he was familiar with that and appreciated that we'd done that. But I honestly, it's just really nice to join someone else's initiative. So the fact that you guys have cooked this up and the guys at Saint-Guillaume Baron have been so instrumental in driving it forward, it's just really nice to play a small role and get involved.
Love it. That's amazing.
I'm curious because it is something I want to talk about, is the fact that, and I want to bring these all up too, so anyone who's watching knows all the opportunities that are out there outside of Link Up. But why is Dominion so involved in all of these initiatives? I feel like people do look at you as this brewery that is doing all the good things, So, but why? Why diversity inclusion? Why is that important to you? Why did you feel that you need to participate with Red in Niagara College, bring her in and have her speak? All of these things. Why is that important to you?
Particularly when no one else is really doing that, or very few other breweries
it's
were
not.
doing
It's
it
more
when
rare.
you were doing it. You guys were really the spearhead, and that's why you guys were the first brewery that came to mind for this project. On the very, very top of the list, I'm not bullshitting. It was the first, because you guys are just really known for it. So yeah, that's a good question.
Well, I know it's important to me, but maybe I'll just make room for Stephane. You could probably speak to this in a different way.
I mean, the question being why Dominion City is kind of putting that effort there.
Yeah.
I think it starts with ownership. Josh and Andrew, who are active owners, are they're paying attention to these things and just being more aware of what's going on in the industry and how it's not all inclusive, and how to get there, or do little things to kind of work in that direction. So ownership is a big part, and from there everybody buys on and everybody is respectful of others, and it starts there.
It's always top down in the end. A lot of it. That's true. So it's just like, are you? Because I was like, Ottawa's not incredibly like I would say like the most diverse place. So I just think it's very cool that it's like this Ottawa brewery that like goes in and making sure that they're like as inclusive as possible.
I was going to ask on that then. Do you guys think that the fact that you guys have been so vocal and so passionate about, essentially just diversifying the craft beer industry, do you feel like, and not even in like an egotistical way, do you think that, or do you hope that it's rubbed off on other breweries, that they've seen what you guys are doing and be like, like if Dominion is spending time, energy, and money and resources on this, maybe we should too? Like, have you guys seen any like run-on from the work that you've done?
I mean, I want to be careful. I think.
Like,
I think
yes,
on the
everyone's
one hand,
copying
like,
us.
Humbly and respectfully, but
No, I mean, obviously, like, we think it's important. And I mean, for me, I think the big motivator is I just think it's a more interesting business. The more people and the more interesting place to come and spend my time when it's made up of people who aren't exactly carbon copies of me. Frankly, it gets a little cloistered. So yeah, I think like just beer will be more dynamic. It'll be more likely to succeed. And obviously when you own a business, you want the industry to succeed, so that this part of it, but it's just more fun when more people are on board. And so that's a big motivator. But in terms of other people, I mean, absolutely. I think the working level of awareness, even just in the last year, I mean, I think if you've been alive and reading a newspaper in the last year, there's a lot more that you're thinking about perhaps than you would have been 24 months before that.
Yeah.
I think a lot of brewery owners are grappling with some of these questions. And I want to say too, we don't have it all figured out. Far from it. We stumble and make mistakes, and we're learning all the time and trying to be better. So it's not like we are under the impression that we've figured it out and everybody should copy us. Far from it. And our initial scholarship that we kicked off a couple of years ago, we were inspired by a brewery in the United States that had come up with a similar initiative. And my mom is famous for telling me that there's no such thing as an original idea, and I'm a firm believer that that's true. So I'm not under any illusions that we've invented anything, but I do think there's growing awareness, and I hope the result is that 10, 20 years from now, beer is stronger and looks more like the rest of our city, country, because of some of these things.
Yeah, particularly craft beer, like that is it's like that's like the untapped, and just speaking like from a business perspective now, like that's this full untapped market, right? Like if we have hit a certain critical mass of a certain person that buys beer, it's like there's this whole other market there that loves fine things and would be interested in fine things. They just need to have it either presented to them somehow or brought in somehow. So yeah, it's like good for the bottom line in addition to being good for like the world. I'm talking money, so I'm going to pivot to the CFO here.
Comment.
We've definitely had those conversations about it goes both ways, where you're hiring you're diversifying your hiring, and you're able to market target all different audiences. It's just better for business, and it can shake up that industry in full, right? So like you said, it works both ways, where employment changes and the business changes overall.
Yeah. And I do have a question, because as I said before we got on the actual recording, that we had not interviewed, and this is something that's interesting about craft beer in general and why like programs like Link Up exist, is that we don't really see people of color in positions that are usually, it's like entry level perhaps, and then maybe we're at the owner. It's like we're getting like two different sides of things, but you don't really see them weave in like management or executive levels. So I'm just curious to know, like, one, how you were introduced to craft beer, and then two, like, how did you get in the position that you're in with craft beer?
Yeah, I mean, just a couple of guys giving me a shot, the owners of Dominion City interviewing for that entry level position. And they liked my energy, and we had a good chat, and they believed in me, and I started there, and I just, I've been employed at Dominion City since 2017.
Ooh,
So
whoa, you've been in here. All right.
Where did you start?
yeah, I've been there. So just kind of working and growing with the business.
What was
And
your
here
first
we are,
position,
right?
Stephane?
It was part-time bookkeeper.
Ah,
so
check
always
you
in the book.
out. All right,
Okay.
cool. Look at that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
We
I
almost
even-
hired an old woman who promised to make us cookies.
That would have been a
Well,
pretty
really
sweet
glad
deal,
we did
though.
it.
I was like, I'm
I'm really glad we did it.
What put Stephane over the line? The
Better cookies,
Better
or
cookies?
like
You know what?
No cookies.
And this is I was thinking about what I wanted, to talk about tonight. And one of the things I think that happens a lot when we have these conversations is very tempting. Talk to owners about the vision they have for a brewery, and sometimes we talk to head brewers because they've got a vision for beer, and those stories are well tread and they're important. But one that I don't know that we've necessarily explored fully, and I've never spoken about, is just like the importance that having someone who's got their a good handle on like money management. This is a capital intensive business. And I mean, certainly in our case, and I don't think we're far from unique, but like a lot of people were young when they started these businesses. They didn't necessarily have super deep pockets. Sometimes they're people who've, come from other small businesses or like us, they just literally, the least original origin story in craft beer is a couple white guys who didn't like their day jobs. And that was us. But having someone along the way like Stephane come along, I'm not blowing smoke. It has changed the trajectory of our business. We wouldn't be the business we are without Stephane because, frankly, we just weren't that good at financial management. And there was a big job to do. It was getting to be a bigger job all the time. And I think we were realizing we were in over our heads. So I think one of the things we saw with Stephane was someone who was young and hungry and kind of like us and wanted to dig in. And I mean, the guy has, he's owned it and really made it his own. But the things that I use, there's still lots of things I wake up in the night worried about, but I'm not worried about paying suppliers, and I'm not worried that we don't have a handle on what our cash flow looks like next month. And it has freed up, my business partner Andrew and I to focus on the things that only we can focus on. And if Stephane weren't there, we'd be doing a subpar job of a whole bunch of other things that probably would have us stuck in the mud. So I really think like we should be talking to more finance people at breweries because they're the ones getting it done.
Ooh, you know what? That
That's
is
an
actually
interesting-
interesting. We totally might steal that.
That could be like a full season.
Yeah.
So we'd
You know what?
obviously
Didn't we
Have you
talked
back.
about once like doing like all the, but it was kind of like not the adjunct. We were going to do all the things around like brewing.
Yes.
And I wonder if like maybe that could be like all the professions that you're not really, because we always interview the brewers. Exactly what you said, Josh. We always interview the brewer. We always interview the owner. Like those are the two things. But maybe a salesperson. But like
Yeah.
overall, it is interesting to know like the financial side of things. Like it is a capital intensive business. My goodness, the numbers I hear that you all like. We're marketers. Like our overhead is like it's just nothing.
Not much.
So it's like nothing. We're like 2 computers and internet, and hey, we're able to do our job.
We're good to go.
So yeah,
Maybe a camera.
yeah, and a camera. So like it's so different. So I think it would be interesting actually to interview different
We'll
people.
be in
from different,
touch.
yeah, we'll be in touch. But I'm curious to know like what is the day in the life then, because people can explore like, and the point of Link Up is that you're exploring all different positions within the industry. That's why we don't really want to just have the full focus on brewing. It's like somebody could come and want to be under you, Stephane, as like a bookkeeper or shadow you or any of this type of stuff potentially. So like. What's a day in the life, of like somebody who's, running the money at a brewery?
Oh man. On a good
That's
day
a
and
good
a bad day.
Give us both.
Yeah, maybe in the middle somewhere. A few
Yeah, I
fights.
mean, just day-to-day stuff is simple. Just kind of taking care of suppliers, making sure that they're accounted for, those expenses are accounted for, and paying them on time. Receivables, calling customers up or running credit cards for any licensees and things like that. And just kind of going through our bank account, understanding what transactions occurred and understanding cash flow and what's coming up. I mean, it varies, paying off HST, you got to pay the government, right?
Yeah.
Tell me about
I was like, that's
The
it.
worst.
Just did our quarterly remittances or the thing.
Yep.
Anyways, yeah. Always a fun one.
Yeah. So it varies a lot. I mean, even inventory count, managing that, understanding, what's on hand and what's not, looking at our volume that we're producing and submitting our beer taxes. A lot of Excel sheets, a lot of numbers equals a lot of fun.
There you go.
For me,
Okay, see if you love it, then that's all that matters. As long as you're
Oh, I
having a
love
good
it.
time. I was like, you say Excel
100%.
spreadsheets, and I'm like, oh goodness, no.
You know, that stuff, like, I don't want to say it's Greek to me. I think, you know, Stefan has helped me along the way to kind of appreciate where these things matter and they come together. But the way I receive what Stefan does is like, he's a critical part of the strategy. You know, like, if we want to do a thing, we got to understand, you know, how we're going to get the plane off the ground and fly it through next year. And there was like whatever the weather was already going to be. And then we just go and introduce a whole bunch of electricity, and he's got to figure out if we're going to crash. And so it's like it's a critical part of the conversation before we can do things. And you know, Stefan's role is helping us to shape, you know, corporate strategy. Really, it's really like, how are we going to grow this business? And there's a strategic piece of it too that I really come to value.
That's so cool. I was actually just thinking about COVID even. Like, I assume that would have been like a hectic time for you, because I guess if you had projections, those were all thrown out of the...
Goodbye.
Yeah, thrown out of the water.
For sure. I mean, you know, with COVID, different industries reacted differently. And you know, for us, and I'm thinking, you know, more people were drinking at home and things like that. So, you know, things got shaken up, but, you know, for us, it kind of worked well, and kind of the budget worked fine.
There you go.
You guys.
Luckily for us, you know, different industries are hit differently, but luckily for us, we're able to kind of make it through the storm, and still dealing with it, and still hard to forecast, you know, what the year looks like for the next 4 months with lockdowns, you know, potential fourth wave. So yeah, budgeting in the pandemic is a challenge for sure.
Yeah, with that. We spoke about that at length on the last podcast, actually, about how you guys really pioneered the drive-through and you know, just I really feel like, once again, I know you probably wouldn't say it, but I really feel like a lot of people and a lot of breweries looked at you guys and what you did, and then, you know, took inspiration from that. The drive-through was the first time I saw anything even like that. You were on that like week one.
I know.
Honestly impeccable. I could go on about it forever.
Yeah.
I want to touch on, though, something. One of the questions that we definitely wanted to ask was, say, Stephane, coming into an industry like we were saying, it's, you know, obviously a bunch of white dudes with beards for the most part. Potentially, if you got in 4 years ago, it would have been a lot more white dudes with beards than probably they are now. I was curious sort of like how it's been for you, and then being that, you know, the aim of this series and season of podcasts is to really show people from underrepresented communities in craft beer that, you know, there are multiple paths, but also I was wondering if there was any, so like, first of all, how was it? And then second of all, like, I wonder if there's any, like what's the, we had it written down, I forgot. Is it like the path? It was like the path to like getting
into it?
Yeah, like the path to getting into it. Like the real question was like, why did you even apply it to Dominion City in the first place? Because I think that's our challenge, right? We need to increase awareness that this is an option, and that's our main thing, right? So I'd just be curious to sort of your journey in that scope of it, sort of like what it was like for you, and then, you know, how did you discover it, and then even think like, I wonder if I, you know, I can imagine when, you know, would I want to work here? Do I going to feel comfortable here around all these people that, you know, whatever. So I'd love to hear that, man.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, how I came to apply for Dominion City was luck, honestly. Like, I was on Indeed searching, and I found a part-time bookkeeping position, which was exactly what I was looking for. And I wasn't familiar with craft, you know, the craft industry at all.
No,
Okay.
It wasn't, you know, me applying wasn't based off the industry. So just kind of interviewed for the position, more focused on the finance aspect of it, not focused on the craft industry part of it. And it you know, it all manifested, and here I am. So, you know, it's from my previous kind of jobs, I've typically been that one black guy in the office. So, you know, it's kind of what I'm accustomed to, right? Different industries in the office, and that's what I'm familiar with. So, you know, it wasn't anything different, but now kind of opening my eyes in terms of, you know, being in a position where Link Up is there, Black is Beautiful is there, and these different initiatives to kind of allow other people to be included in the industry and influence the industry is where I'm kind of trying to put my energy towards. Yeah.
No, that makes complete sense. I like that it just randomly came from a job board. I assume you're a craft beer fan now.
Yeah.
Definitely.
In this 5 years, have you seen things change? I was like, you're like, not at all. Actually, I don't drink it. I don't drink this stuff. Yeah, have you
Black
seen?
is Beautiful. Yeah, Black is Beautiful was a big one that, like, based off the timing when it happened, last year, throughout the pandemic and everything that was happening with in the States. That hit me. That was just kind of eye-opening in terms of, okay, people are paying attention, people are aware in this industry, and people are trying to push that needle. And so there is definitely some movement. And you mentioned Ren as well. She has her initiative, Do Better, Be Better, and she's definitely involved. So there are people that are pushing the needle, and I want to be part of that. And I know Josh and the ownership of Dominion City have been part of that. So I think the trajectory is good, and slow grind, but it's working.
Okay.
You're a forecaster, so that's a good look if you're saying that the trajectory is good. So we'll just, we'll take your word for it then.
I love that. Well said. Have you, like, say, one concern I can imagine that maybe someone who didn't came across a job ad like you did, maybe when they say to their family and friends, like, hey, I'm getting a job at a brewery, and you're like, what do you mean? Because in maybe a lot of people's head, like, Tiffany's family only really drank Guinness and Heineken, and now we've introduced them, and we've taken Tiffany's mum to the Alchemist. She bought a T-shirt, taken her to Foam in Vermont, and
she's loving it.
Taking her to Bellwoods, and she's in Toronto, so we're taking her to all the breweries, and she's about it. She understands it, and it really just came from sort of a well, if you're going to be around me, there's going to be beer around, so hey, try this, and you get used to it. But I'd be curious to see if there was any, because maybe that's a concern that maybe some people might have when thinking about a career in craft beer, like, oh, what's my family going to think, or my friends? Are they going to think it's weird or whatever? Like, did you have any pushback or funny questions or anything? And then the second part, do they understand it now?
Yeah, I mean, no, there wasn't any pushback, and I think everybody around me found it pretty cool, right? Like, oh, you're working at a microbrewery, they produce beer, and
bring some home.
Oh, check out, bring it home. Oh, for sure. I mean, introducing that to my parents, my brothers and sister, and I had a bachelor party, and I only had Dominion City beer, and everybody loved it. So, whenever I bring micro craft beer around, people love it. We've been to different festivals as well, so there's never been any pushback. I think it's a lot of the time it's, oh, where'd you get this beer? Where could I get it? As if it's something that's hidden from them, right? So it's just about awareness and targeting the right people and being inclusive of that. So any of my circle tries our craft beer, they love it and enjoy it. So
yeah, I love that, and I think that's exactly the point.
Yeah.
Like, in the end, you hear the same story. I'm like, oh, my mom's drinking it now and all this stuff. And you're saying the same thing. Like, because I got the job here, now in the end, I'm introducing my family to it. I'm introducing my friends to it. It's at my wedding. So now a bunch of people at your wedding are like, oh, what's this? Like, what's the deal with this? That is the whole entire point, is that when you increase the diversity of the workforce, you expand the industry because you put it in front of more faces. And that's the only thing. It's just like, craft beer is amazing. Once you drink it, like, you're good. You're so, as long as it's good beer. Like, once you drink it, you're, like, in, right? Like, we always say, like, if you were drinking, no knock to Tim Hortons today. Tim Hortons, our fans are here. But if you're drinking Tim Hortons or you're drinking Folgers, and then all of a sudden you have, like, a beautifully crafted third wave coffee, it's going to be really hard to just continue to drink, like, Folgers coffee. If that, like, once you get to that place, it's very hard to go back. So it's just the matter of, like, bringing more people in who can actually bring this to their networks as well. And then that's where you're going to see the effect of more people buying craft beer. So, like, I have friends who, like, never even thought about craft beer. And whenever I remember just thinking it was even just, like, weird, like, that, like, we would go to the park and then my friends had cans of craft beer now all of a sudden. And I'm like, what? And they're like, yeah, you had, do you remember? And I was just like, what, you guys are drinking it now too? Like, what's happening? Because we were the ones bringing it around, like that. And, like, in the end, it went from, like, like, vodka drinks and stuff like that. People are just like, yeah, it's so much nice, lighter, it's really good. And they start picking up these cans in LCBO, and I remember being like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. But that's what happens, right? Because I got into craft beer, and then in the end, you expand to your network, and it's not even like so much intentional. It's just like by way of being involved in it. So I feel like you're an exact example of like what the goal even is. So one, getting more diverse faces and diverse people into the workforce, but two, also expanding the industry, because when you bring in more diverse people, it's just going to trickle down from there. So yeah, that's very cool to hear.
Just to jump on that for a second, like I think I can think of a number of examples and moments when like just even having a staff that's been more diverse, that's included different people with different backgrounds. It's funny that you just make assumptions sometimes, or you act out of ignorance, and it's never meant to be hurtful or whatever, but just been really useful to have conversations along the way with Stephane. And earlier you were talking about sort of the business imperative of reaching different audiences, and that's a conversation Stephane's brought up a number of times. Just like that there are Black people in Ottawa, and they enjoy drinking beer, and we haven't reached them yet in a lot of cases, right? We just haven't done whatever we need to do to be in their faces, to show them we've got a product that they might like and that they can read themselves into. And I just really think having people on the team who get that, who can make you understand it, if you're like me, it's helpful. It really does help. So I think representation matters. I think having a diverse team matters.
Yeah, it does matter at all levels, because outside of even just expanding the industry, it can potentially help you either curtail issues that you could have run into, because as you're saying, sometimes you're coming from a place of ignorance, and we've seen breweries do like some just like really interesting things, and that just comes from not across all brands. Like we've seen major brands make really stupid mistakes, and it's literally like you look at their boardroom and there's just nobody of any other color on the boardroom, so it's like, of course you made this mistake, because you just don't have anyone else chiming in to be like, hey guys, like,
probably not cool.
Maybe not a monkey in the jungle on a shirt with a black kid, like you don't have somebody to say that to you, looking at your H&M.
That's the one I was thinking of.
Yeah, right? Because it was just the most like, come on.
Just
like, come on. So yeah, it like helps in so many different ways. And something that Craig's brought up a lot, which I like too, is just like introducing different flavors. It's just like when you get different people, you just also when you talk about the beer itself, you can introduce like different elements to the beer as well, because someone might come and be like, hey, my mom uses soursop all the time or something. Like, maybe you guys try it out. Like, there's all these different aspects that you can even bring, which makes the beer even more interesting. So, yeah, just like from all levels,
Yeah. There's
definitely a lot of different things that could be done. Like, just me spitballing in the back of my mind was, getting some ingredients from Haiti, which is my background, right? Getting ingredients from Haiti and bringing it here and putting that in the beer, and like that's the kind of thinking that could happen with a diverse kind of staff, right? Just different ideas that are kind of out of the norm.
Yeah.
No, I love that. I want to ask you both. Obviously, you guys have been on this diversity train for quite some time. For breweries who might be watching and might be considering, because really like there's two sides to this. There's from the brewery side, because we want to encourage breweries to beyond link up. The idea is you can work with the program, cool, but we want breweries to be thinking of this independently of us, and also the potential applicants. But from the brewery side, you guys have been doing these events and diverse hiring and
the initiatives,
like all of that. What's the not even necessarily bottom line impact, but what sort of impact have you seen in the brewery? Maybe it's a diversity of customer base, and you've had some amazing conversations that have inspired this, and this. Was there anything from either side, whether it's internally or externally with customers coming in, that you guys have seen from your activity in diversity that maybe you were even surprised about?
Maybe I'll just speak to that first. I think I've been surprised the extent to which our customer base chooses us for more than just beer. I think they come to us because they trust us that the beer is going to be good. But I also think that I've been surprised how much they're looking to us to kind of be a bridge for them to kind of channel that couple extra spare bucks in their wallet towards something that aligns with their values. or connects them, links them up even, frankly, to a cause that they care about but might not have had like an on-ramp to. Yeah, I mean, we've seen that a few times over the years. We undertook a project with some friends of ours who, we worked together for a year and built a relationship with a couple from Kitigan-Zibi, about 2.5 hours north of Ottawa. It's an Anishinaabe indigenous community. We made a beer together a couple times now. Stephane actually came out with us last year and harvested sumac, speaking of
Cool.
unusual ingredients. We hosted a 100-seat beer dinner right before the pandemic, and all the food was harvested by our friends in KZ. And we had all kinds of non-Indigenous people come to this dinner. It was a beer pairing dinner with Indigenous prepared food by an Indigenous chef. That hadn't happened before. And the number of people who, were just excited that there was an opportunity in their town to try an experience like that and have an evening like that and be exposed to Mike and Anna and hear a bit about their story. It's satisfying and purposeful for us, but I also think it's part of what our customers want from us too. So, yeah, so I think that's where it's kind of the rubbers hit the road, and it's worked as we found that the people who are into our beer are into these things and they want to see more of it.
So cool.
I love that.
Yeah. I do have one question as we will have to wrap up.
Yes, I know.
We're keeping to a time this guys, just so you know, because I'm on the podcast, so Craig's not going to have 4-hour length podcast because I'm here.
Yeah. I drank a lot more beer the last time. It was good.
I want to just for any of the applicants here, and because I know, Stephane, we just briefly touched on it, but you did say that you'd be interested in mentoring.
Oh yes,
Can
please.
you just give a bit of brief information about sorry, does that speak brief? Can you give some information about what that looks like, so that anyone listening can be like, oh, cool, that's an opportunity that I didn't know I might have.
Over and above what LinkUp can do and what the apprenticeship opportunities at the collaborative breweries. This is, I think we actually mentioned it off air, if I'm not mistaken.
I think we talked about it off
So
air.
Stephane, maybe do you want to talk about what you were willing to do and you were incredibly kind to offer?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, mentorship in all forms, right? So from a technical aspect of accounting, just kind of shadowing me and kind of my day to day would definitely be something that I'll be excited to mentor someone regarding that, and just kind of giving my life skills, right? So that relates to accounting, that relates to business, that relates to life and the industry that I know. So I haven't done it before, so it's going to be a process, but as much as I'm able to share my knowledge and help someone kind of skip some of the pitfalls that I've gone through, or the challenges that I've gone through, definitely willing to lend a helping hand and guide the next the next one up.
Love it.
So cool.
So cool.
And this is kind of like the over and above stuff that's that these cool little synchronicities that happen just by doing this, and then now that this often this might help somebody who might not have considered it get in the industry, and then leads to maybe they'll have Dominion City beer at their bachelor party too. There's a
Wedding.
Or
was it bachelor party? Oh, it was your bachelor party. Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
Bachelor party.
Okay, nice.
I pay attention.
Yeah, I love it.
No, I think it's just fantastic, and you already know what we think of you. We could gush about you guys all day.
We try not to. We know it's awkward.
Yeah, you don't want to hear it all the time, but you already know.
And
how
I'm
we
sure you
feel.
leave with your head like this. We're not trying to do it, but it's just you have to give people their flowers, and that's very key to us. So we
Big
got
facts.
to do it.
The drink change.
Gotta stay humble.
Yeah. So you can stay humble, and then we'll just big you up and praise you. So there you go. That's all it is.
But genuinely, it means a lot that you guys are one part of the project from the beginning, like we say, from when we gave you very little information and you really didn't know what the hell was going on, but you trusted the vision and you trusted us, and you came through and set it off amazingly. And also on top of that, Stephane, your offer is so kind. So we definitely got that on the books when we get some people. And that's the next step for us. The next stage is to get more applicants, and that's what we need to be bringing people through the program. But just genuinely, thank you. It means a lot.
And we spoke to a cool applicant today, and it's just I know, it's just cool to already start getting those conversations going and what the potential is. So yeah, It's good. It's cool. It's very cool.
It's very, very cool.
That's
so thank
super
you
neat.
both for real for one for that, but also for taking the time to hang out and chat about it tonight. This is very weird for me to cut it off at 44 minutes and 10 seconds.
Look, see, when I'm here, look at that.
I don't like
44.
this. It's so short. I got so much more to talk about. But
I said 30. I gave you 15 more.
You
I
did,
said
you
30.
gave me 50.
You said 30, 45. That's a good
you
middle
were
ground.
you were
There
generous.
you
You
go.
were
There
generous.
you
Thank you.
go.
Guys, where can we find you both online if you'd like to be found individually or for Dominion City?
Yeah, you're welcome to email me anytime. It's just josh@dominioncity.ca. So go ahead, drop me a line, and would love to hear from you. And I just, before I sign off, I'll send the sunshine back. I just really appreciate that you guys are leading on this. I think this is important. Happy to have our brewery play a small part in supporting what you're doing. But I think this is great, and I'm super encouraged to hear that people are already getting in touch with you. And I think if some of those connections come from this, then you guys have done a great job of getting this off on the right foot. But it is important. So thank you for doing it.
Thank you, man. Stephane, would you like to be found?
Yeah, I mean, why not? So definitely just shoot me an email, Stephane@dominioncity.ca. And, same as Josh, thank you guys for having us. It means a lot. Link Up, you guys are leading that, leading the way on that. And we're glad to be a part of it and give as much as you guys are willing to take. So thank you for that.
I love it. I appreciate it. Do you know what I remembered? Because it's been so long, we have to do a thumbnail. So I have to take a screenshot of the screen. Are we going to do this way?
Yes,
Just in case. You want to hold up the beer cans? Look at this.
I was like, where's
I'm
my
out- I'm
logo?
fully out
Where's
of
my
practice.
logo? Okay,
There you go. You got it. There we go, Josh. There you go. Oh, in a bit. Towards your head. Towards your head.
Why am I having so much trouble with it?
It's difficult. It's difficult. And then turn the link up so you can see it. Yeah,
Wow.
make sure. There you go.
Yeah.
We're all terrible right now. Ready? Gorgeous.
Perfect.
And make sure, guys, yes, go follow Dominion City at Dominion City on Instagram, and it's Dominion City BC on Twitter. I think it's just Dominion City Brewing Co. on.
Oh, you're good.
Yeah,
Check it out,
I
man.
tag everybody. You know the vibes. I'm out here. Stick around after the call and we'll wrap up. But guys, thank you so much for watching and listening. If you enjoyed the episode, smash the thumbs up. Hit subscribe below. Hit the notification bell so you know when the new drops. Follow us on social media at BAOS Podcast and at Link Up Beer everywhere. We'll be back every Wednesday with a new episode with another
Links
brewery.
to apply in the description box below.
Yes, and
And on the podcast description.
yeah, everything will be there. Podcasts, the video, everything. Guys, we'll see you in the next episode. Cheers.